You know how they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it? Well, I am having an issue with things being broke and not needing fixing. So if you can hear me, that's great. If you can't, I'm sorry. I have done everything in my power to make this a easy to watch stream, because it's not always about the lo-fi, it's not always about the singing or the commentary. Maybe it is. I don't know. I don't get any feedback on that. I did some, because this is primarily a lurking stream, and I understand that 100%. Sometimes I just want to go in and see people, and that's kind of what I'd like for you to feel here. I would love it if you felt like you could just hang out here, come and go, whatever it is. So if you are unfamiliar and are wondering how weird this, what is this setup, you know, with the whole, here's a camera here, and here's a little doodad over here, and I got my mic in a weird place, and here's this strange little light down here. It is all me trying out something new, and it shouldn't take a lot to undo it if I need to. But the whole deal is I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. And it looks like the way that I have it set up now is you can see it, but I can't. So let me get an introduction out of the way, because here I am. I just started everything and I start blabbing. My name is Wynne Blue. This is my stream. Welcome to my stream. I'm glad you're here. I am a musician and artist out of Seattle, Washington. I'm not going to go through my little logo, whatever thing. Just suffice to say that Seattle covers a lot of ground. I'm in a different chair today because I get tired of the old one making noise. I figure I don't have a lot left on this painting that I'm working on. So what I'm going to do is we're going to make some changes, you know, so do some adjustments, because all I really have right now are, well, I do my best so that you all can hear me just fine, but it doesn't always work. I don't have a place to mix my paints. I just have my dried palettes from last week. And I can't show you anything really close up just yet. But what we're going to do is I'm going to change my scene here. And we're going to give it a good look, so we can make sure that the lighting and the angle is okay. Another thing is I need to be able to actually put my brush to canvas, and that might not be possible. So let's suffer quietly over to the next scene here. Yeah, okay. So this is what I'm working on. I've got a little, this is my thing right here. Fred's hanging out with us, which is nice. Fred's hanging out with us, and that's really nice. She's just, let me tell you, I can start at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but as soon as 5:30 runs around, by that time I'm just frantic. So here's what I have. I've got a little light up here. It's not exactly where I need it to be. What I need is another light. And if it's too close, it doesn't really lend itself to seeing stuff. I can't get much closer than this, y'all, unless I move the camera itself. So, yeah, the only place I can go is out. And if I do that, you see the huge holy mess that is my office. And that door up there, the one that's like right here, behind that door is a little dog waiting for me to finish my shiz and come out. So let me see if I can get really close to this eagle. I can already tell this is going to be difficult to work in. So I'm going to move the microphone away from me, and we'll see what happens here. Okay, I would love to be able to talk quite a bit a distance from my mic, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. Not without creating some sort of fuzz or buzz or static in the background. So here's what I have. I have my eagle is up here, Freddie is down below, and let's see if I can bring the eagle a little closer. It's blocking off my microphone, so I can't really talk and show you this at the same time. So I thought for sure that I would be able to do this, but it doesn't look like I can feasibly. I cannot do it like this. I have to go back to whatever the hell it was I was doing before. All right. So while I figure this out, I'm going to throw you at the Freddy cam. Unless you want to watch me struggle through rearranging everything back to where it was. All right, where is my Freddy cam? There she is. She hears her name and she's looking at me. All this trouble just to get a little closer, a little easier so you can see everything, and it just did not work. So I'm saving you a little headache, all you people who watch me on mobile or a smaller screen. Yeah, I wasn't thinking. You have my apologies. And tonight I was thinking I would finish up this painting and then I would move on to doing some digital stuff. Because doing some digital stuff is actually just a little less stressful than what I have right now. great need of caffeine. Okay, so what is this? Okay. Now, my overhead camera is just not in a great place. Okay, it's just not. So what I'm gonna do is let's see, let's go back to desk draw so you can see exactly the chaos that I'm dealing with right now. Yeah, look at that. I guess it's not too bad. All right, so I'm gonna turn this around. Okay, that didn't work. I'll tell you what I think I did. I think I actually just turned my background upside down. There we go. This looks more familiar. All right. Let me make sure that I have my palettes, and then I will get this all figured out right here. Because we don't have that far to go. Honestly, we just don't. We don't have that far to go with this painting, and actually, I'd like for you to see the eagle. We're looking at Fred. Fred is done. The only thing we need to do is this little bed. This little bed is not done at all. So we will work on this after we have finished what's up here where the eagle is. once I have the camera set up to be a little further up on my desk, then we can get that done, because I like being a little close to my desk. And since I'm wearing a white hoodie today, smart choice for art night. I'm going to roll up these sleeves and put on an apron. Oops, sorry about that. It's important to protect your clothes, because if you don't clean the paint out of them right away, it's there almost forever, you know? It is there almost forever. So let me get a drink order in, because this is insane. I shouldn't be yawning throughout my art stream. Okay. So we have headphones. I don't need this. We're going to work on clearing off this desk, because there are things on this desk I do not want to be on here while I'm working on things. Yeah, I've been working on my character. I got to level 15. I asked for a new place to sit because my DM has all this nice and comfortable. Thank you, honey. Has all this nice and comfortable sofa space, and let me tell you, I cannot sleep. I cannot sit on a big comfy couch. I don't know what it is. I just can't do it. I can't stay on one all day. So here's my little spell cards that I made. Thank you, armorclass.co. So if you do D&D, these are my bard cards. Okay, that's enough show and tell for D&D right now. But I got me some stuff, and I've been working on it, realizing that there's a whole bunch of stuff that my little bard can do that I haven't been keeping track of. And when I say haven't been keeping track of, it's usually, hey, I want to attack with these arrows, or I want to taunt the dragon. Not advised, but I do it anyway, because I'm the bard. I am the chaotic neutral bard. So all that's out of the way, Okay, and we need to move this camera. I hope it's in the right spot. that'll do. Because now you can see the eagle as I work on it. And if I move this up, you can also see the dog bed. Dog bed's going to be kind of a trip because my camera mount is in the way. So we'll figure it out. Okay, so let's set this aside a little bit as I wiggle the camera like crazy. Sorry about that. Gotta have the reference. So part of what I did with the eagle, and it's gonna be a little askew because I have limited room here. But what you see is I've gone in and done that whole bald eagle stink eye thing that happens. Always looking angry, so angry. But you know what? When you're trying to catch a small animal, you gotta look like you're coming at him. It's the thrill of the chase. And this reference is not going to get me anywhere. It is too small. Yeah, looks like we've got some shiny on there. That's from the glass. Here I am thinking I'm looking at my painting. Nope. All right. Now where are my palettes? Part of what I used for painting is I used my acrylic paint markers, which, you know, it really depends on the brand, and I do think that paying a little extra money for acrylic markers is worth it. Now, you don't have to go completely off the deep end and get yourself some Poscas, because the ones you really want, they're going to be hard to find. Excuse me while I tear into one of these. Funny, I can have this like 3 feet away from the microphone and it picks it up super loud, but when I'm talking, is it anything? No, it's not. It's super soft. How can something really far away be louder than me talking like this? If you were here last week, do you remember this hole? How I scraped it off with a blade. I don't think we're going to do that with this. This would take too much time. And I don't want to spend too much time on making this nice and clean. We can do that later. But I will, however, work on this. So let me put the painting aside for a minute so we can get a good close-up of the palette while we're cleaning it up. This is something we do at the beginning of every stream. We have ourselves a few minutes and we need to make sure that we have a nice, clear space so that we can start some new colors or even remix the old ones. Now my Stay Wet palette, the thing that is supposed to keep all your colors nice and, dare I say, moist. It dried out on me and I had to redo all this. It was very frustrating. This is not as thick as the last palette we were using. That thick stuff is really great. It peels beautifully. I've seen a lot of things where people will reuse their palettes in a sense that they just put the old paint on top of the new. I mean the new paint on top of the old. This is why I need caffeine. Alright. But unless I know exactly what I'm doing, unless everything comes straight out of the bottle, no, I mix my paints. I think it's lovely that there are so many paint colors out there and you can just get them so they are what they are. And then you just have to squish out the paint, move it around a little bit, get the right consistency on your brush. And while some of those bottled paints are super cheap, go to the craft store and they'll have a little display with like 100 or more of those little bottled acrylic paints, which are basically the same as the bottles, but a better quality, maybe has some different characteristics to make it only resilient enough. I haven't tested any of those bottled paints on a canvas. And in order to find out if something is archival and will stand the test of time, I mean, I'm pretty sure that when you look at the classic artists, whether it's Renoir or Picasso, or even going further back, and I'm drawing a blank as to what the 16th and 17th century artists we've seen. I think it's Michelangelo, The Birth of Venus. I don't think any of those people really thought these colors are going to look great in 300 years. The Sistine Chapel was done fresco. I don't know if you're familiar with fresco. But fresco is gouache or tempera. I can't remember what they used. They used a very difficult medium to play with. They painted directly on damp plaster. Or is it wet plaster? And I know they've done work on the Sistine Chapel since it was done. But there are tons of other paintings. And I remember that one painting, what was it? It was like a medieval monk. His head was at an angle, and some woman at the facility where it was tried to restore it with disastrous results. I felt bad for her because she really, honestly, she tried her best. But she wasn't an artist. And people who restore paintings like that, they don't go in with a big brush. They go in with a super tiny one, and they painstakingly remove whatever shellac is on top of it, if there is one. They make sure that the canvas is clean, no dirt or grit. They find the best chemical match for the paint, because you don't want it to oxidize or age in a way that in another 300 years it looks like, well, poop. One of the things I used to really like to do is go find the art restorers on Instagram. And I'll tell you, it's really nice to kind of get a gist for what these restorers do. But not a lot of people do those really long restoration videos on Instagram. Just do a little search for art restoration and you'll see what they do. They do all that and take their tiny brushes with this specially formulated paint. Colors painstakingly done. That reminds me of another process, one that I have done. And backing up just 30 seconds, all that shellac, if there was no shellac on any of these old paintings, the yellowing stuff that you see them take off an inch at a time with a little cotton swab. You got to do it carefully or you're going to take off a whole bunch more than just the shellac. Okay, so we're going to look at our eagle here for a second, and then we're going to figure out exactly what it is we need to make that eagle even more majestic than he already is. Okay, so we have our eagle. I think these back here, they're supposed to be mountains, but it also shows a bit of texture in the canvas, which I don't really appreciate. Maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. I don't really want that. I would like something a little less I don't know, I just need it to have a little more body. And then I want to kind of blend it. You can see how in the background it's a little blended, right? And the sky has just subtle bits of white in the background, but I definitely want a little more white back there. And if all this little white stuff right here, that's a reflection of the windows in the cottage. And I don't know how I'm going to deal with that, but we'll find out. So let's get some white and blue. White and blue with just a touch of red. And to make things nice and supple, to keep it nice and supple, we're going to use this glazing liquid. After using this for a while, I kind of want to move on to something that's a little more matte, but I haven't found a matte one yet. Now I also have another, they call it a retardant, and I don't know. I know that's just what it's called. I have this Artist Loft stuff. It's a slow dry gel medium, but it doesn't say if it is matte or gloss. Maybe I'll put both on here and see what happens. I say that seems kind of glossy, wouldn't you? I can tell this is kind of old because it's super thick, and I don't remember it being thick when I first bought it. And when you're using something thin, like this particular product, it's a little easier to use. It dilutes your paint to the point where you can use layers to darken whatever color. It's really nice for shading, which is what we're going to do today. Oh goodness, that's a lot of white. Am I even going to use that much? Oh. First paint smudge of the evening. I can't believe it took me 40 minutes to get there. Huh. I'm slacking. We're also going to throw some alizarin crimson up here, because it's more of a kind of a magenta. Not a whole lot. One, because I don't need it. And two, I can always add more. The reason I put this up here in such a huge blob, I mean, that's easily a little larger than a quarter. I don't know what I was thinking. Alright, a little bit of alizarin crimson. And cerulean blue. All of these fancy colors, you get used to it, to the names, and you know the history behind them. Cerulean is, I think it's a descriptive rather than an actual chemical or like if you see a cadmium yellow, that cadmium makes a certain flavor of blue, but it's also made with something you don't want to put in your mouth. Alright, I'm gonna do a little bit of mixing using my favorite palette knife, which could probably use a little cleaning, to be honest. Don't try this at home, kids. I am a professional. This is why you always clean your brushes and your palette knives. As soon as you're done using them, take them to the sink. Rinse them off. All right, there we go. Oh, that could have been a disaster right there. I just don't want this black crap to get in there. What have I done? There's got to be a better way to do this. There we go. I don't think that dried paint probably would have done too much damage, but I just don't like schmutz. I don't like schmutz on my palette knives. Alright, so let's mix some clouds. Start small. Look at how tiny that is. Super tiny. Tiny little piece. excess of blue that won't come into focus even though I want it to. Oh, there's some schmutz. I do not want that. We need a schmutz-free palette knife. We'll be okay though. Don't get ahead of yourself. This stuff takes patience. That's a nice light blue, kind of a silvery blue. I'm going to add a little bit more. Just touching the gloop on there. Good job. Okay, so the method I'm using to mix this all up is I put it in a little pile off to the side, and then I stretch it out. That does a lot of good, that process right there. It's very different from just using your brush. I like having just the color, and then I can mess around with it later. Okay, so this is the part where I divide this. So I have two somewhat equal piles of this cool white. And for this one over here, I'm going to add some alizarin crimson to give this a more of a pink purple tone. At any rate, I'm glad you stopped by, whether you're catching me live or on a replay. I was supposed to do a music stream on Monday, but I got sidelined with a migraine. Not fun. I was pretty much out for the day, which is really annoying because I had things I needed to do. Okay. Maybe a little more blue over here. Get us a good contrast between this and the other blue. I know you can't see it very well, but once this color mix is done, we'll be able to see it on our little canvas over here. Okay. I'm going to put this up close to the camera so you can actually see what's going on here. Whereas I can see this color just fine. You might not notice. This is much bluer than this, which is a little more purple. Okay. little bit of water, a little bit of medium, a little bit of this blue-white. Now remember when I said that this particular medium is really good for layering? This is one of the situations that I was referring to, where as the slow dry part is doing its job, because otherwise I would just have a lot more paintbrush lines and marks. I don't want to wait for the layers to actually happen. I just want the paint to be on there. I want the color to be opaque. I want it to just suspend disbelief in a way. And the finger stamp is like the perfect way to get cloud texture. You just do it. Okay, so we got a good white with a bit of fluffiness up here. Now I'm going to test my pink white. Although I feel like it might need to be a little darker. Yeah, I think that's going to need to be just a little darker. Because as you can see, well, maybe you can't. Oh Lord, that's an accident waiting to happen. Hang on. Whew, that was close. Okay, so if you look, you can see my fingerprints are in the paint, and I don't want that. I might have to skip the slow dry extender. I don't think that's quite as dark as I was hoping. I don't want to overdo it on adding color because you can easily go downhill very quickly. See how dark that got really quick? Is that what I want? It could be. Yeah, that's closer to what I was looking for. There we go. And I know you can't see it very well, but it is actually darker in person than it is on this palette. A little disappointing that you can't see it, but let's get some of this purple up there. Yeah, I think this is going to need to be just a little darker. What was I thinking? So I did something crazy recently. I deleted my Discord server. Oh no, this can't be undone. Are you sure? I'm pretty sure nobody will miss it. And I deleted it because I couldn't figure it out. You'd think after all of my time in technology that I'd be able to figure out how to create and set up and run a Discord. But no. can't see it. That's a shame. Here. We're going to use that next. Just a little bit of that plain white. Or as they say on the tubes, titanium white. Okay, so let's get a closer look at Eagle here. I could do better, but I'm not gonna. I don't feel like it. So I'm going to wait for that to dry a little bit. Then I'm going to go with another kind of light color. something a little creamier. I wish I could see that better. But no, I have a ring light. Okay. I'm going to move some stuff around just simply because I can. And I would like the space back. Let's look at Fred's little bed and see what sort of color scheme we're looking at. Well, looks like we've got some creamy color on the inside, you know, that sheepskin fleece. And on the outside, we've got some, what color is that? Kind of a gray-red, I guess. Huh. So here's what I'm going to do. I'd really like to finish that eagle, so I think I'm going to put a little white. No, I think, let me look at this one more time. Oh, I see. Looks like we might need some masking for that eagle. Yeah, either way, I'm going to have to wait for it to dry a little bit. So meantime, let's do some mixing. All right, that little alarm, that means it is, well, treat time and medicine time. And as you can see over there at the Fred cam, she's like the wind. All right, let's get us some Mars Black into the picture. Not too close, that guy can really mess things up. Alright, then we've got some white here that we want to do. Looking at the color here. It's kind of a muddy brown tan thing. Alright, so I'm looking for something that's either going to be the opposite of the blue or the opposite of the red. And this red is very purpley, so I'm definitely going to need a deep green that is a little on the teal side, I think. Well, hang on a second. This is more purpley, so it would be a little on the lemon lime side. I don't really have any light greens, but we'll see what happens. We're talking layers. Layers of color, layers of mixing. Makes me wonder if maybe I should use a brush. So I'm gonna try a brush because I don't really like mixing with a brush, but it might be faster. Okay, so we have our red. Just a little bit of green. And that's a lovely brown. And the problem with mixing with brushes is that the brush ends up soaking up so much. So if you're lucky, whatever you have on your brush is enough. There we go. Yeah, mixing this on my paintbrush is going to make me crazy. It's really obnoxious mixing with white because you can't see the subtleties that go into making this hue. You only see little glimpses, little bits and pieces of it. Let's get this brush good to go. Make it a little wet. Take it off the excess and let's see how far we can make this happen. Gotta be careful because this blurb of white is definitely threatening. Go. I need to know where the shadows go. That's going to turn into a nice solid base for me to put in a little bit of shading and a little bit of homebrew detail. Nothing too fancy. Okay, so let's get a little darker in there. It's going to need to be darker than that. Yep, looks like it's gonna be time to make some more of that fake black. Okay, where did we get this? We made a nice muddy dark brown, starting with some alizarin crimson. And then we added some phthalo green. Just a touch of yellow. Oh, that's a little greener than I'd like it to be. And I need this to be more red than green. So what we're looking for is a warm gray. Let's see if this is what we need. These two are really fighting. All right. There we go. Now we'll let the brush take over. And we want something darker than what we had, so let's add a little dark. Trying to get that nice. Well, we want our shadows to be just a little different. I'm giving the brush another rinse to get all that excess paint out of there because I'd like some control. Get a little extender there.
Welcome home, Columbia. Beautiful, beautiful. Discovery's 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions. Liftoff of mission 41B, first flight of the orbiter Discovery, and the shuttle has delivered power. Discovery, Houston, prep to ATO.
I don't know if that's the color I wanted to use. Well, you just keep on adding stuff until it sticks, right? Here I am mixing paint with my brush again. Alright, come on you. Look what you made me do. Look at that. What a hot mess. Alright, let's get a smaller brush. There's absolutely nothing special about this brush other than it is smaller. You'd think I'd have this color picked out by now, but I do not. colors I would have picked. But that's okay. All right, let's highlight this. See how goopy this paintbrush is? That's why I don't like mixing with my paintbrush. It just gets so goopy. Sometimes that's what you have to do. Now at this point, I'm pretty much just painting with the extender and the remaining paint on my brush. Oh, hey there, beach doggy. I almost missed you. It's good to see you. Thanks for dropping by. I hope you had a good day. Sometimes we don't have good days. And I'm always here for you. I know I didn't have a good day on Monday, but luckily I got through it. And yesterday, oh my gosh. Yesterday we had an incident with the water dispenser of our refrigerator. We were trying to change it out. Something did not go right. And we had water all over the floor. Good times. I thought we were going to need a new fridge. But it turns out that there was just too much enthusiasm going on with changing that water dispenser filter. Just too much enthusiasm. It happens. You can't let these little things get the best of you. But sometimes we still do. Although I'm kind of bummed that we fixed it. Because now I don't get a new refrigerator. Nothing wrong with the old one. It just would have been nice to have a new one. I think we might get one anyway, because the one I have is 20 years old. It's almost old enough to drink. Almost. Uh-oh, what's going on with my screen? Hang on a second. We're having some technical difficulties. I am not even sure what happened. That is so strange. I think my canvas was sitting on my keyboard and it got a little excited. Gotta be careful. Okay, give me a minute and we will move off of Freddy here in a second. Very, very strange. Okay. I think I might have figured it out, so let's go back to the desk draw. Alright, I just gotta be careful with... I just gotta be careful. And if it does it again... Oh. I'm keeping an eye on it. If you're just now visiting me, my name is Wynne Blue. I am an artist and a musician out of Seattle, Washington. After all this time, I have no idea what I want to be when I grow up, but that's okay. Does anybody really know what they want to be when they grow up? Now this is not the right color of the bed, but I'm just going to go with it. The way I see it is that this weird bed color is likely going to connect the cool rocks in my plan to create. Oh, yeah. Some nice cool rocks and maybe hearing a little bit of the seaside kind of thing. Oh. Oh, yeah, I need to get out to the seaside. I need to tell the friends of mine that I spend the most time with, because I've got the music ladies, and then I've got the day gaming, and it's on a schedule now. It's on a regular schedule, and I am grateful for these experiences, but I'm also a little overwhelmed. You know, it's a good thing to hang with friends. And you know, it's never an obligation. It's never one of those things where, well, you have to come. We can't, just not the same without you. It's not that. That's not how it goes. But I still want to hang, you know? Still want to hang out with people. Dang it, I'm going to keep putting my hand in this paint. to stop. Stop doing this. I need to go see my dad. I just need to figure out what to do with the dog, you know? And Beach Doggy, you and I have talked about this a number of times. Trying to find a good spot for a pup that has personality. My sister hollered at me for not going to the coast. She says, "Why are you not doing that? You and your damn dog." I'm like, "You have a dog?" "Yeah, but you and your dog are different." Okay. I guess we are. So much extra paint. Now I know I've been on for almost 2 hours. If you've been lurking for a while, I'd appreciate a like, a follow, or a subscribe, whichever platform you're on. I'm so glad you're here. There's still a lot that I'm learning about this whole streaming thing, so we'll figure it out together. First thing I need to do in streaming is figure out how not to make the zoom on my camera get all wonky. Okay, so I have this. I would really love to give this kind of a warm wash, because this is not the color I wanted to do. Thinking. This dog bed is going to have so many layers of paint on it. So many layers. That's going to be interesting. How many freaking colors can I put on this palette?
Discovery Houston, press to ATO. Liftoff of mission 41D, the first flight of the orbiter Discovery.
Alright, I got a little pink going on there. Got a little bit of extender.
3, 2, 1, 0, 0.
I'm just going to add a little bit of white. I want this to be thin. Really thin. That's why I'm adding water and more of the extender. I need it to be thin. Because that's what a wash does. It's thin and it just kind of tints. So what I should be doing is I should be working on a book cover that I was asked to do. I have ideas for like 3 different scenarios. I've read different chunks of the book. It's a good book. But I still need to figure out, okay, what is this picture supposed to look like? Got an ad coming up on Twitch. Hang out, I'm just going to keep doing this. All right, good. All right. I got one thing that I really need to do here, and I'm going to use this and some of this pink wash. So we're moving on to the inside here, where apparently I'm going to miss the mark on the color here too. That's okay, live and learn. We can always bounce back from our mistakes.
Liftoff of mission 41B, the first flight of the orbital Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower. Discovery's core computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
Now I'm just using straight out white on this. I figure if I can put like a base white in here, then I can always put color on top of it.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
This is one of those cases where I drew the bed a lot larger than it actually is. So I have to make up parts of this bed as I go along. Then I have to figure out, how do I make the texture? How do I make that fleece? A little brush around here. I would like to use that. Amal, did I drop that thing on the floor? Because I am really good at dropping stuff on the floor. tell you, I'm learning so many techniques, just making it up as I go along. It's nice having the right tools, but if you have tools and you don't know how to use them, so I'm kind of just experimenting as I go along. There's really no right or wrong way to do this. There's just the way you do it to make this happen and the way you do it to make something else happen. I mostly say it like that because often I'll get somebody, like a budding artist, that really wants to do this, to make paintings, and how do I do it? Well, it's not something I can really explain. It's just something that you do. You pick up some materials that look good to you. Don't spend too much money. Just don't do it. Don't spend too much money on it. And then just do. Now, this is not like, how do I work out? How do I lift weights? How do I work out? No, it's not like that. You definitely want someone to show you how to work out, or you'll hurt yourself. But for something like art, the worst that can happen is you'll make something you don't like, or you'll get carpal tunnel. Like right here, I am experimenting. You can probably see there's a bit of squishy stuff in there, and I have to not just create a shape, but at some point I'm going to need to create texture as well. which is one reason why I'm not too concerned. I mean, I want the values that are here to definitely show up. I want it to be dark in the places it's supposed to be dark. I want it to be light in the places that are supposed to be light. So, man. Looks like I'm going to have to bring out the spaceship. Let's see what I can transfer to my spaceship. Let's get a little closer. Had to stop and think about that one. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Brighten it up in a few spots. use the white. I still need to figure out how am I going to create that fleece texture? How am I going to do that? I could try to do it with a brush. It would fit with the character of the rest of the painting. But do I really want to do that? So I've kind of been toying with the idea of Patreon. Because yesterday, dog bed isn't very central to the piece. I'm just spending a lot of time on it. I probably shouldn't, but it's very meditative to work on this. But you're right. I should think about what I'm doing with that eagle and if the eagle is going to be, it's going to need just a little bit more. No, it doesn't. I want to put some texture in it though, because I have a little bit of texture here around the collar of the dog. And I kind of want to be in that same realm. And I'm wondering if there is a tool or a gadget that would help me accomplish that. Even a light texture would help. Like when you say, Beach Doggy, when you say it doesn't need to be photorealistic, I don't consider the dog to be photorealistic, but I want it to be close in detail, something that doesn't look like an afterthought. Just creating some texture with the brush. I don't have to make big long strokes. Paint on a piece of cauliflower, finding something to put paint on and just daub it. I think you may be onto something. I don't know if it would be cauliflower. But it would definitely be something. So I'm trying something here that I think might work. But we'll find out soon enough. Giving him some taps. Just a little something that keeps it from being like just a straight line. The straight line was great when I was defining the shape. And if this was like a paint pen or a colored pencil, I think I would have figured it out a lot sooner. There we go. I think, Eureka, I may have figured it out. But first, I want to make sure I'm getting this all in the right order. Yes. It does. It looks super fluffy and fuzzy. I just need to figure out how to make this just a little darker. I got some places that need darkness and the fuzziness. See if we can redeem ourselves with this darkness here. Usually I will put like a whole boatload of big blobby color on my palette, and then I end up kind of wasting it. But the bottom line is, if you don't put enough paint on your palette, you're going to waste time mixing up a bunch of stuff. Little batches they're not as helpful. I mean, at some point, yeah, if you've got tiny little tubes of paint and you just want to make them last, then please, oh my gosh, by all means, go small. You do what you have to, but if you got big old 8-ounce, no wait, how many ounces is this? if you've got big old 4-ounce things like this, you don't really have to worry too much about wasting paint. Okay, I just had a really big deja vu and it was weird. I think I dreamt about this. Very, very weird. Dark colors, where are you? All right, you're gonna make me do this. See, all I wanted was a dark color. Come on, was it really that hard? Well, apparently yes. Opposites attract, but it's got to be balanced. Okay. Now I think we have the right color. Whew. All right, there we go. We got some texture in there, not the dark crevices I was hoping for. But I think that might take a drier brush. go in with some watered down white. Not too watered down, because I need it to look fuzzy, not spiky. All right. We got our fuzzies. Fuzzy, fuzzy, fuzzy. Fuzzy, fuzzy, fuzzy. Yeah. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Ba-da-ba-da. It's looking pretty fuzzy, fuzzy. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Ba-da-da-da-da. Okay, what else was I gonna do? I can't really. There we go, that's the texture I was looking for. Not too much, not too little. All right, I am happy with that. simmer. Let that simmer down for a little bit. Let's get a real close look at this fuzzy dog bed. Pretty nice, eh? Oh, I want to keep working on it. Not a good idea. You gotta let these things, you gotta let them simmer, simmer. Let them simmer, simmer down. Come back later with fresh eyes. Alright, so now I need some masking. And I have to find where my masking roll went. Aha! My masking. We're going to do a little something with the eagle. And he's going to be upside down for this because I want to be able to see him properly. And we're going to take this before it makes a mess, and we are going to put it elsewhere. Make sure my brushes are nice and clean. Because let me tell you, once it dries on your brushes, you've lost that brush. There is a product you can buy that is supposed to redeem your dried out brushes. But you know how it works? You scrub the crap out of your brushes with a toothbrush, which is what you would do if you use dish soap. So nothing special there, just a way to separate an artist from their money. So always wash your brushes. I know that's probably going to be a tough one if you are prone to putting dishes in the sink and then forgetting about them for a week when you have 3 roommates. I mean, usually you can go back and go, ooh, crap. Because if you are that person and you know if you have a tendency to do that. You want to take your brushes and you want to wash them. Even if it's just putting them in the water and giving them a good swish. Oh, here's a fun part. Finding the edge. There we go. Now, in the picture, has a matte frame. See that dark line around the frame? Not just the frame, but there's a white mat and a red mat, and they are layered, and that creates a line around the image itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask this. On all sides, so that I can go through and create that same line. And it's kind of important that they be crispy. You can also use this technique to clean up any crazy edges that you might have created. So if you're watching this on replay, I'm wondering if my settings brought my music in, because my music and my voice sources are two different things. And if I set it up the right way, playback does not have any music. But if you watch it live, you do hear music. So let me grab an X-Acto blade. I know I have one. Where did it go? Oh, I see it. See if it works, if my settings work. Then I can use music that it's not going to get me dinged with a copyright. Oh, I hope that one cut cleanly. Now, the funny thing about the music is that if the music is not coming through on the video on demand, then all of my singing with the lo-fi is just not going to come through. And that VOD is going to make me look like a crazy person. Not that I care, but it would be nice if people didn't think of me as la 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 la, crazy lady with the thing that she sings with the lo-fi. One can hope this is perfect, but it doesn't have to be. All right, good job, good job. Now the reason I'm doing it in this particular fashion where I cut everything off first, oops, I missed a couple of spots, is that when I put the next layer, and when I say layer, I mean it's going to be 2 frames, so I make, a somewhat visible line. I don't want to have to cut through this more than once. I always think I'm going to work on this when I'm not streaming, and I just don't. There's just too much going on. Like I started writing again. Maybe not quite at composing, but I have been writing again. It's hard to compose when your main instrument messes with your elbow and your wrist. I'm wondering if I should take piano lessons. That'll take too long. I want music out now. Now, if my eyes were good, I'd feel pretty confident in this mask job. But my eyes are not that good, so it might be... And I just realized something. With these down, I don't have to cut the outside frame.
Welcome home, Columbia. Beautiful, beautiful. Discovery's 4 computers now have
All right, I have this.
critical vehicle function.
I have a dark brown, which I might not use.
Discovery Houston, press 8 to go.
And a light brown, and what I've got is kind of a combo between these two. So first I'm going to go down with the, see whichever one is the darker color. So I have to think. I'm definitely going to use the burgundy. But do I use the light brown or do I use the dark brown? I think I'm going to have to test this. All right, let's bring out the spaceship. right, there's our burgundy. Here is our dark brown. And here is our light brown. Let me get a damp paintbrush here. I think we're going to use the dark brown. But I'm going to put the dark brown down first. Actually, no, I'm going to put down a layer of white first. All right, I got an ad coming up in about, well, less than a minute for my Twitch peeps. But I'll be here. I'm gonna continue working on this. And in 2.5 minutes, it's very likely you'll come back to a nice little frame. I'll go slow, but not too slow. Just not too slow. Now these are Posca markers. Posca markers are supposed to be the best, and they come in like 4 or 5 different sizes. And this just happens to be the 5mm, so it's kind of thick. Now the logic behind putting putting masking down and then putting down a layer of white is the same principle that you would use to put stripes on a wall. When you put down masking tape on a wall to create a shape or to do some lines, some decor, you see it all over the place. People experiment a lot with paint on their walls. If you put down on top of your layer of tape, you paint first with the original wall color, let it dry, and then paint the desired color that you want, you get a crisper line. This is a similar principle. It's not exactly the same because I'm using white and this is more kind of an ivory or yellow. But I'm hoping that when it comes down to the dark lines will have their own crispiness. Gonna blow on this for a second. Acrylic dries really fast. The marker is, thank you, Beach Doggy, for getting back to me on that. Okay. The marker is acrylic paint. So I'll show again. So this is white. I guess it doesn't really say on here, but it did on the box. There you go. Yes, but this, if you go on one of like Dick Blick or even Amazon and look at the description, you will see it's Posca is what comes up when you look for acrylic markers, and they are a widely known and popular brand. So it is paint. And I'm putting down a layer of this paint so that there is a base for the other color to go on top of. And earlier in the stream, I was talking about acrylic markers and how you want to pay a little more to get a good acrylic marker, but that doesn't mean you need to get fancy, expensive ones like the Posca. It means check the reviews. And if it's just a little more than you want to spend, it's probably the one you want. There is a brand out there that is affordable, that is got really good reviews. It's called Artx, ARTX. And there's like 7 different varieties. They have a pack with nothing but flesh tones, one with just pastels, one that's kind of your basic set. I have some on a wish list. And it took me a while to pick out the one I wanted. And I have to be careful about what I put on my wish list because my dad has this, he loves to shop at Amazon. He's very much a you can't take it with you kind of person when it comes to recreational spending. So if I'm not careful, if I don't pay attention to my wish list, he'll buy me stuff off of it. And before you go, oh, poor baby, you just wait until you get an item that is really cool, but you forgot it was on there. And it is truly a surprise. So I try to go in and update my wish list every, 2 or 3 months. And I have 2 lists. I have one that is like under $35. Everything in there is under $35 because $35 is the limit to a lot of the Secret Santa exchanges that I'm part of. And so, give everybody a pretty good idea. Well, the cool thing is, for my last milestone birthday, I got a new sewing machine. I don't remember asking for it. I don't remember it being on my wish list. And I also got an ice cream maker attachment for my KitchenAid, which was on my list and has been on my list for a really long time. But the sewing machine, I'm like, Dad, why did you get me a sewing machine? And he's like, everybody needs a sewing machine. Oh, really? Yes. Everyone needs a sewing machine. And the last time I bought you a sewing machine, young lady, was when you graduated from college. I'm like, Dad, you got me a really good sewing machine back then. It still works. Yeah, but this one has monograms. You can write words with this one. And you don't have to worry about tension because tension is automatically done. I'm like, okay, sold. What do you mean, beach doggy? You don't need a sewing machine. Everybody needs a sewing machine. If you don't need a sewing machine, I am assuming that you have a friend with a sewing machine. So if you have any mending, you need done, beach doggy, you come over to my place and I will make you something. I will hem your pants. I will let out the seams in something that doesn't fit anymore. I will make you a pot holder or a tote bag. just decide and I will make you something. The most challenging thing that I've ever done is hemming the pants of a nice suit. Because, you know, the cut of a suit, it changes along with other fashion. So this one that I got, or that I was mending, had kind of a taper to it. It had a taper to it. And let me tell you something, hemming tapered pants is not the same as just any old pants. You can't do it. Not without making your pants look weird. You have to do it a special way. Okay, you have to hem pants a special way if they're tapered. And I was so nervous because the person who needed these pants was going to a wedding. Luckily, he was not the groom. I would have been very upset about that because this person who owned the suit was my husband. And I think the hardest part, after I had done lots of research and made sure my technique was okay, the hardest part was measuring the ends of those pants. Got to be really careful about doing a little smudge here. Too much smudge and you end up going past the other side of your mask. Not good. And there's still a chance I will very much ruin this, but it's fine. There are no mistakes, just things you go, oh crap, about. And then you fix it. I don't think there's anything in painting you can't redeem yourself with. Nice application of heavy body white paint, or a strategically placed line of gesso. Because I was thinking, you know, it might be nice to use that sewing machine to make some cool stuff. Because I do believe, Beach Doggy, that many years ago, you gave me a bowl cozy, something I could stick a bowl in and put it in the microwave, and I wouldn't burn my hands taking it out. And I love that thing so much, I made like 10 of them. I found a pattern, I did a little bit of experimenting, and I made 10. And the hardest part of that project had to be finding the right materials, because you cannot use fabric that has metallic print on it. You can't use that. Things will spark in your microwave. You can't use polyester or polyester blend thread because it'll catch fire. And you can't use polyfill or your standard cheap quilting. You can't do that. Again, it'll catch fire. So it has to be cotton thread, 100% cotton fabric. It can be any design you want, that fabric. That's what makes it wonderful. Easy to make. And you use that all wool, all natural batting. And it's perfect. You can even make a little thing to bake your potatoes in. I did go deep. I went deep, beach doggy. I went in. I want everybody to make a bowl cozy. Everybody make a bowl cozy on that sewing machine you absolutely positively need. That's how you do it. All right, are we dry yet? I'm worried I might have missed a spot. Okay, here we go. Fingers crossed, everybody. Oh, got a little schmutz. Just a little. All right, so far so good. So we got some nice crispy lines, and this is the schmutz I was talking about right there. I can probably get that with a blade. Of course, there's paint on my finger. All right. Got to check, make sure there's no paint on the other fingers. Okay. Now the paint in the acrylic pens, it's going to be a little different as far as formulas go. They might dry faster, but they also come apart in water faster, so you still have to let it cure. All right, there we go. Schmutz is gone. All right, here we go. Let's get close. Oh, yes. Looks nice. All right. Now for the grand finale. This part's going to be a little different because I don't have any edges to pick up. think I did something. No, I didn't. Okay.
Discovery Houston.
Oh, that's a sad thing right there. Okay. So I'm going to show you real close. That right there, that is either white Posca paint, or I pulled up the paint from my tape. So let's look at the tape real quick.
Discovery, go and throttle up. Discovery's 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
Yeah, I think some white paint got down there. That looks like white paint to me. I gotta do this part really careful because I better clean that up. I do believe that the blue that is on the background of this eagle is also Posca. Now, before you go in, how in the world do you plan on this painting lasting for any amount of time when you have this moody paint on it? Well, I'll tell you, it's still going to cure. Yeah, I'll have to fix that up a little bit. It is still going to cure, and it is still going to become archival at some point. But in case it isn't, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to fix all this. Use like a fixative. Do you know what a fixative is? It is a spray that you use on pencil and charcoal drawings to keep it from smudging, so you can work over it. Just so it makes a nice little workable, non-mess-upable thing. So I'm going to put a little bit of fixative on the top, maybe a couple of layers, and then I will put my finishing touches on the top. Okay. So the inside, where there was a lot more color, not as clean as I would like it. But I can fix it. I'm not going to fix it tonight. Let me turn this over so you can get a good normal look at it. So we have a couple of spots that could probably use a little bit of touching up. Which won't be that big a deal. 99%, yep. Exactly, 99% there. It's just this particular part is going to be a little delicate. Worst case scenario, I have to do this blue again. And you know, I was not going to work on this painting for this long. What I was going to do tonight is pull out my sketchbook and start working on those mock-ups for my dad's book. It's his third novel. And quite honestly, I think it's his best. And he has asked me to do the artwork for it. So that's what I'm gonna do. Gonna do some artwork for my dad. 'Cause now it's a family business. Do 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 do. And I'll admit I should have been working on it like a couple of months ago. Actually, more like a couple of weeks ago, because he gave me a deadline. And I missed it, because I was intimidated. Okay, I think I'm gonna let this one go, because it seems like if I try too hard, I'll end up pulling in that burgundy. And I do not want to do that. And it should be pretty easy to find that color. I think it was a simple mix. All right. So let's give this a good look. All right, we're going to look at the Freddy cam while I do a little something to make this. Oh, she's sleeping. All right, let's go back to it. She is really cute, and she's chewing on her arm. Okay. There we have it. And we're not quite in the frame. Boop. If you tilt your head off to the side, maybe you can see it better like this. Ah. All right, so we're almost done. And by this time next week, I'm going to hope to get all of the things I need to fix. All the things I need to fix, I'm going to make sure that I do them. That means this up here. And finishing up, I have a a navy blue line to put there, and some faint tartan kind of stripes. See how there's kind of little stripes there. Freddie's done. I'm not going to do anything with the quilted thing here. I think that's done. I'm done with that. So we're almost there. We're almost there. How about that? Little dog, sitting on the sofa. Out at the cottage at the beach. She's just a little dog. And this was taken at Shakti Cove Cottages in Ocean Park, Washington. It's on the Washington coast, Long Beach Peninsula. And this just happens to be at the Eagle Cabin. I have never found a more relaxing place. I went there with my husband, and it was nice, but it was not relaxing. So maybe it's not so much that it was the cottage, although it is really nice. Maybe it's just that I was there alone with my dog. Y'all know what I'm talking about. All right. So what we're going to do now is I just need to double check something. I need to double check if this is, yeah. So usually on Twitch I go ahead and I find a neat artist or musician to raid with, but I'm not going to do that tonight. I like to have more than a couple of people because I'm with you. We're a little intimate group. All right, let's see what we got here. Look at Freddie one more time, who has changed positions again. As you can tell, I'm wrapping up a little bit, so she's about poised. I guarantee you, if I get up out of my seat, she will run. All right. Whew. Got a little fluff there. And my camera's in a weird space. No. Anyway, thank you for joining me tonight. I do art every Wednesday. I do it with a little bit of lo-fi or soft music in the back. Sometimes I sing with it. But this is a feed where you get some stories, you get some art, you get some gentle ASMR like take a nap. Let me help you get to sleep if you're on the East Coast. Just whatever it is, I'm here for you. Mondays are a little noisier, but I do take requests. My name is Wynne Blue. I am a musician and an artist out of Seattle, Washington, Seattle metro area, or as the purists like to say, Bothell. Still a nice place. I want you to be good to yourself, be good to each other, let someone be good to you. I love you and I want you to be happy, and I want you to make art, whether it's a doodle on a napkin or whatever. Make some art. Make some terrible art. And if you try to make some terrible art, there is a chance you will accidentally make good art. No promises. Even bad art is art, and it's worth doing. Okay? So I will see you all on Monday for music, or this time next week for more art, and we'll do some cartooning next week for sure. All right. You be good to yourselves. I love you. Be happy.